What's up guys, XRP charts here with a quick update on the XRPUSD pair. Alright, yesterday on Twitter I had a separate count to what I've got now. I had this as an A, B, C, D, E with a potential there to pop up here. We saw we got a little bit of a rise out of it and then we just completely fell through the floor, so I got stopped out below there. In hindsight, probably wasn't the best, well, it definitely wasn't the best long opportunity, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but look, on the face value, that could have been a corrective triangle and then the start of a new wave from there, but there's a couple of other indicators that I missed that probably should have let me know that this thing was going to head further south, and why I think it's going to continue heading south. If we have a look at the count now, on this latest structure, we've got a pretty well defined 5 waves there, correction here. What I'm anticipating now is that this is going to be a long wave 3. I think that we're probably going to hit down here, it's more correction, and then finish down here. This wave 4 can't retrace any higher than sort of this 29 level, and that's why I've got on this chart here. I'm not interested in longing at the moment until we close a 4-hour candle above this red line. That's pretty strong resistance there, and also it would invalidate this Elliott wave setup as well. From there, if this does play out and then we cruise up to a wave 4, even somewhere up here, what I'm really interested in seeing, is what I said in the last video, is then looking for some kind of really tight triangle here, which has been synonymous with all of the action that precedes a big pump, and we'll have a look at some of those on these fractals. So that's the count I've got at the moment. This was actually my secondary count. I guess I was a little too eager to try and get this thing to pop, but we've just got to let these things play out. So if we do have a look at the fractal over here, this is where I think we are at the moment. I think we're sort of just in here somewhere. So you can see that we've got the 4, then we've got this long extent of 3, then a little pump up to 4, and then if we zoom in on the 1 hour, it probably shows it a bit better. You can see this sort of ending diagonal triangle that we're talking about. Alright, so at the moment I think we're here, and I'm anticipating that we will get another drop down. Then we get from this, if we do get a next drop down, it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, and up, down, and then this is that little triangle bit that I'm talking about here. This is the point that this is where we want to be looking for our entry for a long, or to buy XRP, in my opinion. That's what I'm hoping will plan out. But so far, we can correlate this fractal before this big pump, which then goes on to do this. The reason that I wasn't really happy with my move yesterday, or a couple of days ago, putting in that long there, although it was a good setup on paper, what I should have been looking at was my ADX. Go here. For those of you that have seen before, this is the computer's going a bit slow. It's the DMI ADX trend. It's on TradingView by Trader or Robbie. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they've done a really good job of setting this up. And one of the patterns that we identified in earlier videos was this with pink and then blue down below. Now what that indicates is that we've had these violent drops. So this green indicator shows sort of the rate of volatility, or the difference between the up and the down. And so what we wanted to see was this thing be higher than the pink. So basically a green, pink, blue was what we were looking for with this sort of structure here. And then what we found was when these two cross back over underneath the green or the red there, that was an indication that a big pump was imminent, and we can see that throughout. So on this indicator here, the same sort of pattern again. We can see that the green and red line is above the pink and the blue, and when they come down to crossover, that's where we get the pump. Same sort of thing again. And then we come across to here. If I scroll that down, you can see here we've got a little one here, and it pumped, and even just before here, and then it pumped, and then even just with our most recent one, we had the same setup: green, pink, blue, crossed over, pumped. Now, for me to think that this thing was going to skyrocket from here, in hindsight, there's nothing on that. There's nothing in that ADX indicator there that should have convinced me that the volatility was way down. There's absolutely nothing there to indicate that a big pump was imminent. Whereas this one here had this huge build-up, crossover, and ready to go. So this is really what I'm looking for over the next week. If I'm charting this out properly, we're sort of looking around the 11th at this stage. I'll keep updating as we go. But what I want to see is this green line really start to creep up, and this pink line start to creep up. Now that can only happen if we start to drop, and we start to drop with some power behind the cells, I guess you could say. So really what we want to see, it doesn't have to be a huge one, but we just want to see this green line cruise up here sort of over the next couple of days. This pink line to be up above it would be even better. And then once we start to see those lines converge again, that should coincide with a little triangle sort of formation down here. And then once they start getting close, that will be a really good indicator for me to get in for a long. What are the targets? Well, there's been lots of targets floating around on Twitter for everything and anything. I don't usually get super bullish, so for those of you who follow me, I'm pretty conservative. I actually make a lot more XRP and a lot more money shorting and that kind of stuff during the bear market. But what we can look at here is at the end of these fractals, where does everything pump up to? Now, if we just take the last little dip after the drops, come on internet, we can see here that we usually pump up to the 4.236 extension from that one. Now, sure, that works good on that one. There's another one over here. If we go over here on this one, 4.236 reached easy. If we come over on this one, 4.236 reached easy. There's another one, even if we do this most recent one. These last little pumps. $4.236 again. So, look, is it worth, having a go for that high? I think, which bump do we go from? Do we go just this last little fourth leg? But the whole fractal for me is we're in the end of this part here. So I think we should be doing something like that. And depending on where this finishes, maybe a tiny little bit lower. The 4.236 gets us up around the dollar mark. Now that's a pretty massive pump. I don't know. It could be a long shot, but if we're doing fractals and we're doing, that's what we're basing this whole thing on, then I really can't see any reason why we can't go to $1 in a big FOMO pump. that's just me. That's what I'll be looking to target. If we get down and Fractal looks like it's playing out, I'll place a long and just set a sell order somewhere there, maybe a little bit before. Don't get greedy, but yeah, I mean, based on that, I mean, it's not unreasonable to happen. I don't think so. That's what I'll be looking at, is a little bit of a Hail Mary there. Goodness knows the XRP community needs a little bit of love at the moment, but if we are doing that fractal, and that's what we're basing it on, is this bit over here. I mean, the last one went to the 4.236, so why wouldn't this one? And XRP's been pretty consistent in repeating its fractals and its extension levels, so if we get down and this looks like it's gonna follow this pattern, then yeah, I'll give a long a go up to about $1. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Cheers.